So, welcome back to the Hoop Objective Podcast with your boy Armani. This is episode 2, and like I said, I do plan to do this every day. So, please make sure you guys tune in every day. And without further ado, let's get into it. So now it's time to get into the recap of yesterday's games, which, bro, the NBA, they went crazy yesterday. They had like 12 games. They almost most of the league played yesterday. So, bro, we're gonna start it off with the Magic. They beat Minnesota 118-110. Which is weird because the Timberwolves are trying to make a push for the playoffs. This is a bad loss, but or they're actually in the play-in already, but they're trying to make a push to get out of the play-in, like Pat Beverly said on JJ Redick's podcast. The Magic beat them off of Mo Bamba's 27 points and 12 rebounds, and Anthony Edwards on Minnesota had 25 points and 5 assists, which is a good game for him. He's been having a really good year. Let's get into the Hawks. They beat the Clippers 112-106. The Kawhi and Paul George-less Clippers off of Trae Young's 27 points and 11 assists, and Reggie Jackson had a cool 24 points and 5 assists off the Clippers. Boston beats Detroit 114-103, which is an expected win. They better win that. Off of Jason Tatum's 31 points, 6 assists, and 8 rebounds, and Cade Cunningham had a cool 27, 6, and 8, which is he's been lit recently. The Miami Heat, my boys, my team, the Heat, we beat the Cavs 117-105, which is the Cavs. People are sleeping on the Cavs still. The Cavs have been a really good team, man. Bam had 30 points, 17 rebounds, and 3 assists. And Tyler also had 22 points, which he's consistently been giving us at least 20 every game. Evan Mobley had a good game off 19 points, 12 rebounds, 4 assists. My rookie of the year, I believe it's a closer race than people make it out to be. I think Scotty Barnes have been a really good number 2, and I think he's right behind Evan Mobley in my opinion. But yeah, Evan Mobley, he's been really good. But my boys, we got it done. The Mavs, they beat the Rockets, which is another easy W. Off of Luka's 30 points, 14 rebounds, and 6 assists, which Luka recently has been going off. There's so much talent in the league, man. Someone on every team has been going off. But anyways, the Grizzlies beat the Knicks 118-114 off of Ja Morant's 37 points and 8 assists, who is an MVP candidate and who has a legitimate chance. People for some reason won't realize that Ja Morant is a legitimate candidate. But he was in a battle last night. He was in a battle with Julius Randle, who's had a terrible year compared to last year. Last year he was definitely a top 25 player, and now he's definitely not a top 25 player. Well, last night he went toe-to-toe with Ja. 36 points, 12 rebounds. Him and Ja, they did go toe-to-toe. You gotta give him credit where it's due, but he hasn't been having the best year. The Hornets beat the Pelicans, the Zion-less Pelicans, 142-120. And before I read off the players, the Hornets have been very consistent when it comes to offense. They have a very consistent score, they're a very consistent scoring machine. They're actually number 1 in the league in offense. But for some reason, they can't get the defense together, man. And they also need a big man. I like the Montrezl Harrell trade. They got Montrezl. But the thing is, Montrezl isn't going to be that defensive presence that you need. That big body in the paint that they actually really, really need. But he's still been good for them. But anyways, that boy Miles Bridges, MB. Y'all know he rap. And he's okay. He's straight. I could listen to him. But anyways, MB had 26 points, 9 assists, and 8 rebounds, which is a really good game for MB. And Trey Murphy, he got drafted off the Pelicans. We knew he was a 3-point shooter, but we didn't know if he could actually continue to do that in the league, which honestly he hasn't been doing the best. But last night he had 32 and 9 rebounds, and he had 7 threes. He made 7 threes last night. So Trey Murphy had a good game, which he really needed for his development, because he hasn't been as good as we thought he was going to be during the draft, but he is getting better. The Spurs, they beat the Jazz 104-102 off of DeJounte Murray's 27 points, 9 rebounds, 4 assists, and 5 steals. Which, bro, DeJounte Murray, he's been a consistent triple-double threat every night, and we all know how he is defensively with those long arms. So yeah, he had 5 steals last night, which is lit. And Spider-Man Donovan Mitchell had 24 points, 6 assists, 7 rebounds. He had an okay game, but that they lose a close game to the Spurs. And also I wanted to mention Coach Pop. He's a leader all time in scoring, not in scoring. He's a coach. He's a leader all time in wins for the NBA. He just passed Don something. He's a coach before my time. I don't really know him like that, but he's now the league leader in wins of all time for coaches, which is, of course, it's Pop. He's the best coach of all time. Honestly, I don't think it's that close. And the reason I say that is because Pop can at least adjust to different eras, as we can see. And Phil Jackson literally only wanted to coach one system. But anyways, Pop is the number one leader in wins for coaches of all time now, which is expected. Greatest coach of all time. The Raptors, they beat the Suns, without Chris Paul, but, it's still the Suns. The Suns are still lit. 117-112. And get this, Gary Trent Jr., y'all know how good he's been this year. He had 42 and 8 rebounds last night with 8 3-point shots made. 8 3-point shots made. Gary Trent Jr., I remember watching him in Duke. I remember watching him in high school. He was I believe he was a top 10, 15 recruit out of high school. Definitely 5-star. He went to the Duke with Marvin Bagley, Wendell Carter Jr., and Trey Jones and them boys. And he was lit at Duke. He was lit in high school. And he's lit in the NBA. I don't know why Portland would have gave him up like that. But, hey, he's giving the Raptors really good minutes consistently every night. In the last game, Lakers versus the Wizards. The Lakers and the Wizards, remember, they made that trade in the offseason with Westbrook and Harrell and Kuzma and all them boys. KCP was in the trade too. But the Lakers got the best of them, 122-109. Man, and I'm telling y'all, this man LeBron dropped 50 points, 7 rebounds, and 6 assists. 50 points, 7 rebounds, and 6 assists, bro. This man LeBron, bro, he's 37, bro. How is he doing this? But Russell Westbrook, he had 5 points, which is like, bro, Westbrook, you have this ego of a superstar. You gotta get more than 5 points, bro. LeBron can't. It's like the Lakers can't win unless LeBron drops 50. Well, recently, they can't win unless LeBron drops 50. They lost to the Rockets because LeBron didn't drop 50. But LeBron, it's not over. LeBron telling us it's not over. He trying to get into that play-in. And, I would have more faith in the Lakers if they were higher than the play-in team. But the fact that they're going to get in through the play-in, it's like y'all have no chance because you're going to play either the Warriors, the Grizzlies, or the Suns. They have no chance. So I don't understand why they're still trying. But hey, LeBron telling us it's not over. So we got to stay tuned for that. Also, Kuzma had 23 and 7. He had a decent game against his old team. The team that gave him away for, that mess they got now. But this is hindsight. Hindsight is always 2020. So, I don't know what to say. The Lakers are in a bad spot right now. Even after that one, even after LeBron dropping 50, there's no way this is going to be able to be consistent for sure. But let's go ahead and get into the main topics of today. And like I told y'all before, I am a Heat fan, and I wanted to talk about them. And this is going to be without bias. So even if I'm a fan of certain players or certain teams, I'm gonna always speak on the NBA with not no bias. There's always going to be a little bias because we're human, but I'm going to try to keep the bias as low as I can for sure. But the first topic I want to talk about today is, are the Heat legit contenders? Because there has been a lot of people who've been not criticizing, but they've been doubting what the Heat can really do. And honestly, it's really only because we don't have a Kevin Durant or a LeBron James or a Giannis, which I could understand that. And I'm not going to sit here and say we're the favorites in the whole league to win, but are we contenders? Are the Heat contenders? I feel like it's idiotic to say we're not. At least contenders, championship contenders. Do we have a legitimate chance of making the NBA Finals? Do we have a legitimate chance of winning the NBA Finals? Yes, of course we do. And based off of the big sample size that we've had this year and the past couple years or a few years, what will make people think that we don't? And let me tell you why. And I'm gonna dumb it down to the lowest of the foundation. I'm gonna build it up from the foundation and up. So, number one, something that people don't realize for some reason is the Heat culture is the best culture. The Heat have the best culture in the NBA. Pat Riley and Eric Spoelstra, they've done a fantastic job of building a winning culture. Building a winning culture of the hardest working team in the league. The Heat have, and older players have attested to this, like LeBron and Deion Waiters and those boys when they were with the Heat. If you play for the Heat, you have to be at 10%, below 10% body fat levels. You have to be able to run like a gazelle. You have to be as strong as an ox. The Heat's culture, like, they do not play about that, bro. And Bam on the Knuckleheads podcast, he was telling y'all the same thing. They do not play that BS, bro. They not gonna sit here and if you're not in shape, if you're not all in, if you're not trying to win a championship, they don't want you. There's no reason for them to have you if you're not trying to win a championship. So the culture over there is crazy, man. That's why Jimmy wanted to go there, and that's why D Wade told Jimmy to go there, because the Heat, they can match Jimmy's crazy. Jimmy, y'all know how crazy Jimmy is. Jimmy will literally go to your team and tell you you're lazy, tell you you're not all in. He will cause problems if he has to, but we can match his crazy, which is why it works. So the culture is why we, even without LeBron, even without D Wade, we've been able to consistently compete. Also, this year we have a top 5 defense, which is consistent. We have a top 10 offense, which is consistent. And honestly, I believe the offensive numbers would have been better if we didn't have so many injuries all year. With Kyle and Tyler and Jimmy and Bam. Like, we've had so many injuries all year. So the offense hasn't been able to be as consistent as, they wish they could have it. But the Heat's offense is good, and the Heat's defense is championship contender. Also, the ability to adapt to any situation, and this is injuries, schemes, play-by-play situations. Even let's take it to the front office. The front office we have the lowest draft position consistently every year. Our average draft picks based on the players we have now is the 41st pick. Like, think about that. The adaptability, even with the 41st pick on average, they're able to get all these, diamonds in the rough, which also speaks to the culture. And also speaks to what type of person you have to be able to play for the Heat, because you can play for the Heat if you're the first pick, 10th pick, 30th pick, 50th pick, if you have that mentality. If you have the first pick, if you're the first pick and you don't have the mentality, they do not want you. But anyways, the ability to adapt to any situation. So we've had the next man up mentality with all our people being injured all the time. With Bam, Jimmy, Tyler, Kyle, PJ, they every time someone goes down, the next man is always up, and we always find a way through it. Schemes. Now the Heat, defensively, I want to talk about defensively especially. Most of the time, we play man to man. Man up, get your man, Don't expect help all the time. Like, we do switch, the Heat do switch, but you have to man up if you're going to play for them. You have to be able to play one-on-one defense for the Heat if you're going to be on the court. But not only is the man-to-man defense elite, but we're able to adapt based on what the other team is doing. So I know you guys have seen, we've been playing that zone. Well, we've been playing that zone for years, honestly. But we've been playing the zone based off of the other team's strengths and weaknesses. So obviously, if the other team is a good 3-point shooting team, we're not going to go on the zone because they can easily pick that apart. But let's say we play like, for example, the Sixers, who aren't a good 3-point shooting team. They don't have that depth. In the playoffs, we could just go into that zone. Because yes, James Harden is super high IQ and basketball IQ, and he could potentially still find a way to pick it apart. But at the same time, I would bet against it. Reason being is because yes, James Harden could pick it apart, but can the rest of his team pick it apart? Especially considering that they don't have the shooting that you would want them to have to be a championship contender, or especially just to play us. I honestly believe that we can adapt to any team at any time with the snap of a finger, and especially on play-by-play situations. Yeah, we could be a little slow when it comes to play-by-play situations, like slower than I would hope, or slower than I would like. I would say, we are a little slower play-by-play, but like I said, we will adjust eventually. If LeBron's trying to drop 50 points, we might just let him drop the 50 points. But we're not going to let the rest of his team drop 50 points. And that comes to adjustments, adaptability. Eric Spoelstra is going to look at it like, hey, okay, LeBron's going off, y'all. Do not panic. Just let him do his thing, and the rest of the team, stop them. Like, Eric Spoelstra, he's honestly, in my opinion, other than Pop, of course, Eric Spoelstra is the best coach in the league, and we have to give him that credit. He's also the coach of the year so far, which we have to call a spade, bro. Eric Spoelstra definitely he's done the best coaching job by far, especially like I said with all the injuries. Also, let's go into like I said, with the next man up, this goes into this one. Extreme depth. And yeah, like in the playoffs, let's be honest, the playoffs, you're going to shorten your rotations for sure. That's when the game slows down. But like I said, the depth that we have for our top 8 guys, our top 9 guys, I don't believe we're going to play a 9-man rotation. I'll say we're going to play more like an 8-man rotation. It's crazy, bro. Think about it. The top 8 guys would be Jimmy, Bam, Duncan, PJ, Tyler, Vic, Max, and the third guy, who would they play? I probably Gabe Vincent. Our top 8 guys are lit, bro. There's no way that did I mention Tyler? I don't know if I mentioned Tyler or not, but top 8 or 9 guys when it comes to depth, we're going to be fine when it comes to depth, even when one man goes down. we will still be fine because, like I said, the Heat find a way to adapt. And also, the players find a way to adapt. Not only the coaches, but the players. If Jimmy goes down, Tyler knows he's going to, instead of a cool 20, he's going to have to pull out a cool 25, 30. Kyle knows that he's going to have to, instead of being that great playmaker and defender, he's going to have to give us a cool 20. Duncan knows if guys go down, instead of giving us, 10 to 12 points on three 3-pointers made, he's going to have to give us 5 or 6 3-pointers made with 17 to 20, points. So not only the coaches can adapt, but the players can adapt. If one man goes down, one man steps up. If let's say one man has a bad game, the next man will step up. It's not only on Jimmy, and it's not only on Bam. It's not only on Tyler. It's not only on Kyle. They all have a part to play, and they all know how to adjust when their roles change, which I can't say a lot of other teams can do. And last but not least, we don't have KD, we don't have LeBron, we don't have Giannis, we don't have Jokic, we don't have Steph. But let's not act like the Heat don't have stars. And let's not act like the Heat don't have stars that have stepped up. And we also have a superstar that has stepped up, and Jimmy Butler. And, everyone's going to say, hey, oh, that was the bubble. That was the bubble. That was the bubble. And honestly, some of you guys might say the bubble was the easiest, time playing basketball, or the easiest ring for the Lakers. I think the bubble was actually the hardest time to play. Especially with them not being able to do anything, go anywhere, practice at the same place every day, eat the same food every day. Bro, that took a toll on the players, and all the players have said the same thing. The bubble has taken a toll on them. So it's like, with the Heat to be able to do what they did in the bubble, especially with all the circumstances, with everyone complaining and everyone not being able to get into the correct groove that they wish, including the Heat, why act like that didn't exist? Why act like the Lakers ring doesn't exist? Which a lot of the LeBron haters act like it doesn't exist, but the LeBron lovers will act like it. Will say it was the hardest ring to win, but then the LeBron lovers will say also, oh yeah, the bubble was super easy for all the other teams. Like, they'll say, yeah, it doesn't mean anything for the Heat because it was a bubble, but LeBron won his ring in the bubble. But anyways, Jimmy Butler has stepped up in the bubble. He has stepped up in the bubble. And Tyler has also. Bam has also. We have guys that have stepped up in the playoffs. Last year was an anomaly because, like I said, the top two teams that were played latest in the bubble, both were out in the first round. And it makes sense. It was a tough time. It was the schedule for last year, it was a quick turnaround. I believe it was like 2 months after the finals, the new season started. So, like I said, bro, Jimmy Butler has stepped up in the playoffs, and he's also stepped up in the finals when we had those injuries to Andre and Bam, and we had a lot of guys out and in and out for the finals. And Goran Dragic, who was giving us really good minutes. Jimmy has stepped up in the finals versus LeBron, going toe to toe with LeBron. And the Heat we end up losing in 6. But it's like, with the injuries that we've had that year in the finals, and with Jimmy stepping up the way he did, I believe we legitimately would have had a chance to win that series if it wasn't for, some of our players going down, some of our most important players going down. So it's like, I say that to say that Jimmy in the playoffs will step up. Bam in the playoffs could potentially step up again. Tyler could potentially step up again, and I honestly think it's more likely than not that they do, especially with the jump Tyler has had this year. So let's not act like the Heat aren't legit contenders, because the Heat are legit contenders. you know. And we do have a chance, like, especially with the top contending teams like the Bucks or the Sixers or the Nets. I believe we can match up with those dudes. It'll be harder to match up with the Bucks, to be honest. The Bucks would be a harder matchup, especially with Giannis starting to figure it out in the playoffs. Like, I'm not gonna lie, the Bucks will be a harder matchup. But Philly and Brooklyn, I believe we could match up with them a lot easier than we would be able to with the Bucks. But anyways, I'm gonna get and like I said, I did that with no bias. That was with no bias. You know, because I'm not gonna sit here and say, oh yeah, we would easily beat the Bucks, we would easily beat the Nets, we would easily beat the Sixers, because those guys, those teams can beat us. They can beat us. I'm not saying that the Heat are definitely going to get in the finals. We're definitely the best team in the East. But we've been proving consistently that we are for real. And other teams should be scared of the Heat. But anyways, let's get into the next topic, which I talked about this team as a whole yesterday. But there's a certain player I want to talk about specifically, which I also got into yesterday. But there's a certain player I want to talk about specifically, which is Westbrook. Russell Westbrook, you know, in the LA Lakers. And I wanted to ask you guys and myself, what's wrong with Westbrook? What's wrong with Russell Westbrook, really? We know the Lakers situation isn't fully his fault. But let's be honest, what's really wrong with Westbrook? What's really going on? You know, and to be honest, he's not the same player. We can say it's not Russell Westbrook's fault fully that for the Lakers, you know, going through what they're going through. But let's be honest, man, Russell Westbrook isn't the same player. And it's not based off of statistics, because, you know, his stats for this year have been relatively similar to his career numbers. He's averaging 18 points, 7.2 assists on 7.6 rebounds on, you know, 66% from the free throw line, 28% from the three-point line, and 43% from the field, which is pretty similar to, you know, if you compare stat by stat, if you compare 18 points to 23 career points. If you compare 7.2 assists to 8.5 assists, if you compare 7.6 rebounds, 7.4 rebounds, you compare 43% field, 43% from the field. He's shooting the same thing as his career numbers from the field. And his three-point percentage is 28% this year, which is, I don't understand why he's shooting 3 threes a game with 28%. But his career numbers from the three-point line are 30%. So there hasn't been a big dip. The only big dip is from the free throw line. And from the free throw line, his career numbers is 78% to 66%. So, and that does reflect from his free throw percentage to his how many points he's averaging, because his career points is 23 points. And you know how much he's averaging this year? 18 points. That's probably because he misses a few more free throws than he usually does. And even the turnovers. He's averaging 4 turnovers. You know how much he averages for his career? 4 turnovers. So his numbers for this year match what he's done consistently for his career. So people need to, you know, stop looking at stats and saying, you know, he sucks because his stats are down. His stats aren't really down. His stats aren't down. And they're pretty similar to his career stats. But what we can say about Russ is that his athleticism isn't the same. His athleticism has declined. If you watch the Lakers, if you watch Russell Westbrook consistently, he is not the same guy when it comes to his athleticism. And his game was mostly built on that, his athleticism. And you can see it in his vertical. His vertical he's still getting up, but his vertical isn't the same. He doesn't have the same springs that he used to have. He doesn't have the same burst when he runs. He's not as like speedy. He's not as like, you know, I don't know how to explain it, but he's not as speedy as he used to be. He's not as quick. He's not as strong, if we're going to be honest. He hasn't been bullying people the way he usually bullies people, especially in his position. He's like 6'3", 205, 210, and he's not bullying people the way he usually bullies people or the way he used to bully people. Westbrook is not the same. He's just not the same athletically. And it makes sense. That it's not like oh, he's not the same when it comes to athleticism, and he just sucks when it comes to athleticism. Like, he's still athletic. He's still one of the most athletic point guards in the league, but he's not the same as he used to be, and his game was literally built on that. And everyone knew. Me and my friends used to talk about Westbrook and Curry. Curry's going to have a way longer career, way more longevity because of the way he plays. Curry's game is based off of skill. And as you age, skill usually ages way more gracefully than athleticism. Athleticism, once that's gone, your game is gone. For Westbrook, at least. You know, he's still having the same numbers. He's still maintaining his numbers. But his athleticism is visually like declining. You can see it when he plays, which is it makes sense because he's an older guy. Russell Westbrook is not a young guy anymore. Russell Westbrook is 31, 32 ish. He's not a young guy anymore. But as you get older, you would think that, you know, your basketball IQ will go up. You know, the more you play, the more you know, the more, you know, smart you get when it comes to basketball or anything you do. The longer you do anything, the better you should understand it, which we don't know Westbrook. We're not around him on a day-to-day basis, but if you watch him play, you can tell his basketball IQ is visually lower than the guys around him, which is another reason why Westbrook hasn't been playing well this year. It's because he doesn't have the basketball IQ or the adaptability to adjust. Russell Westbrook doesn't have the adaptability to adjust. And you got to think, for example, when the Lakers got together this year, we all thought super team, or most of us thought super team. It's three superstars joining up together to go try to win a championship. But let's go back in history on a couple super teams that are, they're fairly recent, which are the Big Three Heat from 2010 to 2014, and the KD Golden State Warriors from 2016 to 2019. There's something that those three teams have in common. One is, of course, championships and going to the finals 4 straight times and 3 straight times with KD. Those are the two things they have in common. It's championships and winning. But there's also something even more important than that they have in common, which is basketball IQ. Both of those teams have their star players have all high basketball IQs. LeBron, high IQ. D-Wade, high IQ. Chris Bosh, high IQ. Ray Allen, when he came, high IQ. Kevin Durant, high IQ. Steph Curry, high IQ. Draymond Green, super high IQ. So, what those teams have in common is not only championships, not only talent, but they all had the basketball IQ to adapt to each other and adapt to the way that they each play and adapt to the way the team plays. Because you got to think about it. That Heat team, we're not too much different when it comes to skill set. LeBron, of course. Westbrook and D-Wade. D-Wade was better, of course, but they had a similar type game. Chris Bosh and AD, both big men who's, versatile. They could both shoot a little bit, So, yeah, man. The Heat and the Lakers of today have similar skill sets. The problem is Westbrook isn't that guy who's going to adapt the way they adapted. because his the way he plays, his IQ, the run through the wall mentality, it doesn't work when you're playing with a team like this. It really doesn't. And I believe KD seen that when he left and went to the Warriors, because Westbrook is not the guy who will adapt. Westbrook's not the guy who's going to take one for the team. Westbrook is not the guy who has the IQ to even see how can I fit with LeBron? How can I fit with AD? How can we make this work? What schemes? What do we have to do to make this work? Russell Westbrook is not D Wade. Russell Westbrook is not Steph Curry. Russell Westbrook's not Draymond Green. He's not gonna see things from the same perspective as them, which is a big reason why this team isn't working. Because when you put together a team like this, to make it work, it requires more brain power. We all know they're all talented. We know Westbrook's talented. We know LeBron's talented. We know AD's talented. And like I said, I'm going to say this again. It's not all Russell Westbrook's fault that this team isn't working. It's not all his fault. But he is a big reason for why it's not working. And a lot of that is because he doesn't have the IQ to be able to, adapt to LeBron and AD like D Wade did for LeBron and Chris Bosh did for LeBron, like Steph did for KD, like Draymond did for KD, like Clay, even Clay. Clay didn't have to change much, to be honest, but Clay is not a low IQ player. To play in that system, Clay has to be a high IQ player. But, not everyone's going to have that. You can't expect every player to have that. You can't expect, everyone to be able to play on a championship contender or play on a team like this. That's honestly, let's call it spade a spade. The Lakers, talent-wise, are a super team. They are a super team if you consider talent. But it's not all about talent. Westbrook has to be able to adapt. Westbrook has to be able to, be different. Try to fit in on a team like this. He can't fit in on a team like this if he's not trying to change, or if he's not trying to, make it work. D Wade, he literally told LeBron, he was like, "Look, LeBron," because that was Wade County, and Wade was like, "You know what?" He put his ego aside. "Look, LeBron, you're the man. This is your team. Take us to the promised land, and I'll follow you. We'll all follow you." That's not something you can see Russell Westbrook doing. Russell Westbrook's not going to say, look, LeBron. I know Westbrook knows it's LeBron's team, but he's not going to sit and say, "Look, LeBron, it's your team. I'm going to follow you. Just tell me what my role is. Tell me what I need to do. I don't need to be a primary ball handler. I'll move off the ball and I'll play defense. And you just run the show." Westbrook's not going to do that, man. And you could see that with his ego. The Lakers are like, they want to bench him, to be honest with you. They want him to run with that second group. But the problem is, they don't have, or not they don't have, Westbrook doesn't have the ability to control his ego. And Westbrook doesn't have the ability to put things aside and be like, put things in perspective and be like, "Look, I have to be different. I have to change." And even on the court, though, it's like he doesn't really have the IQ to make different plays on the fly or change things on the fly. Like, for example, it's like if I see LeBron driving, Westbrook's going to be the type to call for the ball on the corner. I'm going to be the type, if I'm in Westbrook's shoes, I'm going to cut. If LeBron's going to drive, he's obviously going to get doubled. Why would Westbrook not cut? Westbrook is a slasher. Westbrook should be moving off the ball. Because LeBron's obviously going to get double teamed. Driving, or whenever he touches the ball, LeBron's going to get doubled, especially because he is a better shooter now. Westbrook is not moving off the ball. He's not cutting. He's not moving. He's not doing what Steph would do. That's how Steph was able to adapt to KD. Steph was cutting off. Well, Steph does this even with no matter what players he's playing with. Steph moves off the ball no matter what. But that's why it was able to work with KD so seemingly, because he was able to be like, look, if KD has the ball, I'm going to move. If KD doesn't have the ball, I'm going to move. I'm going to move until I could get an open shot. And Russell Westbrook is not doing that. Russell Westbrook's not like, okay, LeBron has the ball. AD has the ball. Let me move. How can I get open? What can I do? He's going to stand there and wait for them to pass him the ball. Then he's going to try to go to work in an ISO type, way, in an isolation type way, which it does not work. It does not work. He cannot do that. He cannot do that. He's not that type of player. But also, another thing I wanted to mention is that, even if they tried to make it work, which I wish Westbrook would have tried to make it work a little differently. I wish he would have been a little bit more high IQ when it comes to basketball. LeBron and Russ don't fit. And the Lakers knew that. The Lakers knew Russell Westbrook wasn't going to change his game to come play with LeBron. They knew that because it's proven. But he also doesn't fit with LeBron, bro. He doesn't. They have two similar games, two similar skill sets. They're both ball dominant. LeBron is a pretty decent shooter now, but Westbrook isn't. They both are ball dominant playmakers who are physically imposing, who wants to have the ball in their hands and make plays for others. But LeBron is more efficient at it. LeBron has less turnovers. He can actually, instead of just getting the assist, LeBron can actually make you better. LeBron can make you play better if he's your teammate. Westbrook is not going to really do that. So even then, their skill sets are so similar that if you put them on the court together, who's going to have the ball? Are they taking turns? Is there a system? There's honestly barely going to be any system that will work with that, because it's two ball dominant guys who has the same skill set. And then you got AD, who wants to play the 4 but can't space the floor as much as you would want a stretch big to do. Because if you're going to play the 4 nowadays, you have to be honestly mostly a stretch big, which AD is not. AD is a dominant 5. So when you got AD who wants to play the 4, you got LeBron who's LeBron, and then you got Westbrook who wants to be the ball dominant playmaker of the team, who's not even efficient at shooting nor playmaking. What do you get? You get the Lakers that we see today. And also, injuries. AD has been injured. LeBron has been injured. So that's what you get. That's what you get when this team comes together the way they did. And by the way, guys, I know I don't know if y'all can hear it in the background, but there is a storm here in Orlando right now. And I know hurricane season coming, so just don't mind that. Hurricane season crazy right now. But just don't mind the rain in the back. But anyways, yeah, man, that team does not fit. It doesn't fit. Westbrook doesn't fit with them. And so what's wrong with Westbrook? It's a combination of his athleticism declining because he's getting older. His basketball IQ is not high enough to adapt to the team he's with, nor is it high enough to adapt to the players he's with, or the system, or winning a championship with other superstars. The way he plays and the way he thinks isn't conducive to that. And again, the best player on his team, LeBron, he doesn't have the skill set. He doesn't have the skill set that can complement LeBron. His skill set is similar to LeBron. I don't know why the Lakers would think that will work, but yeah, his skill set is similar to LeBron's. It's not complementary. So that's what's wrong with Westbrook. That's what's wrong with Westbrook, man. And I wish it was different with him, because it's like, dang, man, growing up, you watch Russell Westbrook, he's always been that exciting, high effort player that can, fill the highlight reel. But, it's going to happen to every player to where they decline and they're not the same guy that, you're used to seeing. So, yeah, man, let's get to the next topic. And I'm actually very excited to talk about this topic because everyone's been watching the MVP race, man. And this MVP race has been crazy, bro. Honestly, this is the best MVP race I've ever seen as an NBA fan, as a basketball fan, personally. And because there's legitimately 5 or 6 guys, bro. There's legitimately 5 or 6 guys who can legit win it. And let me get this MVP ladder pulled up for y'all. Like I said, man, there was a storm, so I know my computer went out, which is tough. So, nah, it's straight though. Let me get this MVP. Let me get this MVP ladder for y'all. Off the top of my head, though, I'm pretty sure Embiid and Jokic are tied. 3 was Giannis. 4 was DeMar DeRozan. 4 was Ja. 4 was Ja. 5 is DeMar DeRozan. 6 is Steph. And then it goes down from there. I remember that's off of the top of my head. I remember that the MVP list, and I'm pulling it up just to make sure. Let me get that. Yeah, man. So that's the official MVP ladder. So Joel Embiid and Jokic are tied for 1, and then you got Giannis, then you got Ja, then you got DeMar, and then you got Steph at 6. And bro, it's like think about this. All of them are having MVP caliber years, and well, Steph was until he's been having that the tough stretch he's been having, with especially with his efficiency not being Steph type efficiency, But you got to think about Jokic, who's carrying his team. No Michael Porter Jr., no Jamal Murray, and he's still able to somehow carry them to like a 4th or 5th seed, averaging 26, 14, and 8 assists as a big man, bro. Crazy. Jokic, I would say he's been the number 1 guy when it comes to affecting winning, especially because he hasn't had the team that a lot of these other guys have. Joel Embiid, who's leading the league in scoring as a big man. These dudes are bringing back the big man, bro. He's averaging almost 30, 11 rebounds, and 4 assists. And let's not act like Joel Embiid has had a perfect situation, man. Because Philly has been going through that Ben Simmons drama, and he's had to carry them throughout that. Yeah, they have Tobias Harris. Yeah, they have Tyrese Maxey, but Joel Embiid is the lone star was the lone star on that team. So his MVP season, let's not act like, oh yeah, he has more than Jokic, which he does have. He did have more than Jokic, but that situation was a lot more toxic, bro. And as a lone star of your team, to be able to carry them the way they did, which he honestly had a slower start in the beginning of the year. I remember asking, like, bro, why isn't Joel dominating? Joel, dominate. And he started to dominate, man. Joel Embiid, bro, let's not act like he hasn't had that crazy year, which he has. And a lot of people would rather have Embiid win than Jokic, but that's a close race. And then you got Giannis. Bro, he's consistently having an MVP year every year. Giannis is consistent. And the Bucks are a 4 seed. The Bucks are a 4 seed. With Giannis dominating the way he does. Averaging 29, 11, and 6. Which Giannis, people sleep on his playmaking ability. Giannis is a really good playmaker for his size. He's a great playmaker for his size. Not Jokic, not quite Jokic, but he can get guys good shots, especially when he gets double teamed in the post. He finds Middleton. He finds Drew. He finds those guys. But yeah, man, Giannis consistently, defensive player of the year candidate, offensively always amazing, and in my opinion, the best player in the league. He's definitely the best player in the league over KD for sure. Well, not for sure. It's close, but in my opinion, he's over KD. But that's a different topic for another day. For his Jaw has been lit in his third year. Especially he's overtaking Zion for that number one spot for that draft class, man. I'm telling y'all, he's averaging 27, 6, and 7 on a Grizzlies team. I didn't expect them to be a 2 seed or a 3 seed. Honestly, I did not expect the Grizzlies to be this high, or I did not expect them to be this good. And a lot of the reason for that is also Desmond Bane, who's a really good sharpshooter, and he's Jaw's backcourt mate. And Desmond Bane is lit, and he's a pretty okay defender too. But Jaw, not only has Desmond Bane been better, not only does Jaren Jackson Jr., he's consistently really good offensively and defensively. But Jaw is having an MVP caliber year in his third season. This is only his third season. It's not 5th, 6th, 7th. Jaw is not even in his prime, bro. And he's top 5. He's a top 5 MVP candidate. Crazy, bro. You got DeMar DeRozan, bro, the best mid-range shooter in the league. Him and KD, the two best mid-range shooters in the league. He's been carrying the Bulls, not carrying because he does have Zach LaVine. But he's been having an amazing year, bro, with a lot of the injuries. They have a lot of injuries. They've been having Alex Caruso out, Lonzo out. They've been having a lot of guys out. Who's that other guy they had? They had the young guy who's a great defender out of FSU. What's his name? I forgot his name. I remember him. He was a number 4 pick. For some reason, I can't think of his name. Y'all gonna tell me in the comments what his name was. I forgot it. I could easily search it up, but I ain't gonna lie to y'all. I don't feel like doing that right now. But anyways, DeMar DeRozan has been carrying them with a lot of those injuries they've had, bro. And, he is a top 5 MVP candidate. And it's crazy how crazy this MVP race is, because in any other year, he could have won it. He might have won it, because he's averaging 28, 5, and 5. And he's super efficient from that mid-range spot. Anywhere inside the arc, he's been crazy. He's been clutch, too. King of the fourth quarter, bro. He's been clutch. He's been winning a lot of those Bulls games off of last minute shots, last second shots, walk-off shots. He's been clutch. He's been carrying. He deserves a top 5 role on the MVP ladder. And then you got the next 5. And the next 5, I thought Steph was 6th. But it's Tatum, Luka, Steph, and then Booker and Chris Paul, which, they don't have a legitimate chance. They never had a legitimate chance because, they cancel out each other. But both of those guys have been lit too. But Jason Tatum, bro, he's been carrying the Celtics because they were struggling, bro. The Celtics were struggling. I remember going to the game when they was in Orlando. On my birthday, actually, November 3rd, they played, it was November 3rd. And Tatum and Jaylen Brown, Jaylen was carrying, but Tatum wasn't having a good, game. And, the beginning of the year, let's be honest, he wasn't having a great season. But, Tatum has stepped it up, and he has shown the Celtics, all right, y'all, I'm the best player on this team. I know I'm the best player on the team. Everyone knows I'm the best player on this team. I'm going to take us to the promised land, which he has been doing. Luka, same thing with the trade and, a lot of this locker room stuff going on in Dallas. Luka stepped it up. Luka has stepped it up, bro. He's been going off too. Then you got Steph, who was he was the MVP in the beginning of the year, but with that slump, they took him down to 8. But anyway, y'all, that was a recap of the MVP ladder. And I honestly mostly agree with it. I agree with it. I don't have any complaints about this MVP ladder currently. because there's so many good guys, man. So many guys this year they would have won the MVP in any other year. DeMar DeRozan, with the season he's had, he would have won it in any other year. Ja would have won it in any other year. Giannis would have won it in any other year. Which Giannis still has a chance to win. You know, Giannis, I don't believe Ja and DeMar legitimately have a chance over Giannis, Joel, and Jokic. But like I said, those three guys, man, it's MVP. I can't say it enough, bro. This MVP race has been lit, bro. It's been crazy. But yeah, I mostly agree with it, bro. There's only one thing that I wanted to talk about. And, you know, y'all might get on me for this. But I gotta do the comparisons, man. Jokic and Joel, bro. Them two, bro, are... I can't, like, it's hard for me to even talk about this because they're so good. Like, I appreciate great basketball so much that it's like, dang, bro, them two, like, the comparisons, like, because even back, I'll say 3 years ago, 2019, I used to be like, Jokic was the best center in the league. Jokic was the best big man in the league. Then, as recently as last year, I go, dang, bro, Joel might be the best big man in the league. Like, I'm going back and forth because those two guys, they're so great that both of them have a legitimate shot at saying, look, I'm the best big man in the league. And there's no debate to him. But their skill sets are so different. They're both back to the post big men. But the thing is, Jokic is a great, like, skill guy. He has really good, you know, physicality to him too. But when I look at Jokic, bro, he's really good with that jump hook, that soft touch jump hook. He's good with those 3-point shots, those mid-range shots, those turnaround jumpers. And his passing, his playmaking, his ball handling for a big man, bro. That's not normal. People have to stop, like, sleeping on Jokic, bro, because what he's doing is not normal. That's big men his size and with his stature should not be doing what he's doing. Joel Embiid, he's that Hakeem type. He's in my opinion, if you put Hakeem in today's game with today's trainers and, you know, today's mindset, he would be Joel Embiid. He would definitely be a shorter Joel Embiid. But Joel Embiid, bro, he has that footwork. Because y'all know Joel played soccer when he was back in Cameroon. That was his first sport. It was soccer. So him with that footwork, you know, he could do those little Euro steps. He could do those little step backs. Like, you see him practicing it with Harden. He is skilled enough to be able to do that. Joel Embiid can shoot. For a big man and for his, you know, skill set, he can shoot. He can also shoot those turnaround J's. And he can also be dominant. Joel Embiid will dominate any big man. Any big man. Joel can be dominant. He can just take the ball and ram it down your throat, bro. Pause. But anyways, Joel Embiid, like, his skill set is a little different. Because with his skill set, bro, he's a better defender. He's a better defender than Jokic is. But Jokic isn't a bad defender anymore. But Joel Embiid is a better defender. But Jokic is a better playmaker and ball handler. So comparing them two is hard, bro. Because they both can be back to the basket big men, but they also have two different skill sets. They also have guard-like skill sets. And Giannis, we all know what Giannis could do, bro. So it's like the future of the league is the big men that have guard-like skills. Because honestly, let's be honest, guards, like point guards, they're never going to be consistently the best players in the league. But big men with guard skills can be consistently the best players in the league. And that's where Joel, Jokic, and Giannis, all three of them are trending. The best three players in the league. They're trending towards that, you know, that realm. But it's so hard to compare Jokic and Embiid, bro. But I gotta tell y'all, man, for my MVP case so far, for me, the MVP right now, if I had to give the award to someone right now, it's Joel Embiid. It's Joel Embiid. His stats are a little bit. I would say they're a little better than Jokic's. He's had a more dominant presence. He's also had a toxic situation with the team, and he's been carrying, and it's super close. It's super close. I wouldn't be mad if they gave the MVP to Jokic. I wouldn't be mad if they gave it to Giannis. But I think it's Joel Embiid's award, man. I think it's his, bro. I think it's his. And that's because he's been so good, bro. He's been so good, bro. Leading that team without Ben Simmons. And now they got Harden. So now we really starting to see Embiid dominate and like even more, bro. Because he has a guy that can take a lot of that, the presence. A lot of the presence, with the defense. They're gonna focus on Harden. So if they focus on Harden, what do you think Embiid's gonna be able to do? Dominate even more, bro. He has another MVP caliber player on his team. So it's tough. It's close between Embiid and Jokic, but if I had to give it to one guy right now, if the season was done today, I would edge it out to Embiid. I would barely give it to Embiid, but Jokic has a case. Either guy has a case. So that's the only thing I would, disagree with a little bit, is I'll put Joel Embiid first and I'll put Jokic second. But anyways, man, that's going to be the end for me, Thank you guys for the support. Thank you guys for listening, whoever is here. I'm trying to get this, this podcast going. I'm trying to grow it. We're going to be hard working. We're going to post every day. We're going to be here every day. I'm here to work, man, and I'm here to talk about hoops with y'all. And, hoops is my passion. So that's what we're going to do every day. We're going to talk about hoops and we're going to discuss it, and we're just going to give our opinions respectfully. And, we're going to all be able to have this community where we all talk and debate in the comments and all that. So, we're going to grow this podcast to astronomical heights, bro. And whatever platform you're listening from, I appreciate it. Support wherever you can, whether that's liking, subscribing, following, commenting, y'all know the spill. But yeah, I'm out. Peace.